Imagine for a second that every time you went to sleep, you had the ability to dream any life you ever wanted, any dream you wanted, and you had the power to dream 70 years of time, or any time you want, in one night, in one dream. You can have any life you want, any imaginable pleasures in the world. So of course, you would start fulfilling all your wishes. You would start having these crazy dreams, flying around, having these crazy parties, food everywhere, pleasure, relaxing, the best time that you ever had. You would have these magnificent events, parties, everyone liking you, a bunch of people, everyone's cool. You just had a blast. And then you wake up and say, that was fun, let's do it again. And then you'll go on having these dreams where you're fulfilling all your wishes. You're trying out every pleasure imaginable. But after several nights of 70 years of total pleasure, you'd start getting bored of it. All this pleasure over again is the same thing. It gets boring. So you say to yourself, well, that was great, but now let's have a surprise. A dream which is not under control. So you make the next dream more exciting by adding a surprise. You don't know what's going to happen. You still have some control over it, but you'll arrange it in a way that some part of it were out of your control. That something is going to happen to you, and you don't know what it is going to be. And when you get out of that dream, you'd say, whew, that was a close one, wasn't it? And then you get more and more adventurous, making further out gambles. You would start having dreams that were even more out of your control, with even more surprises, more adventures. You don't know what's going to happen next. And then finally, you'll dream where you are right now, watching this video. You'll dream the dream of living the life that you're living right now. Isn't this interesting? If you had total control over your life, if you had total power and control over everything, you would eventually end up where you are right now. You'll end up living the life that you are living right now. How crazy is that? Because the endless pursuit of pleasure is a vicious cycle. Because pleasure is always fleeting. And after so much pleasure, we would need even more pleasure, even more potent, more potent. And eventually, all that pleasure will get you in hell. Hell in the meaning, suffering. Pursuing pleasure will end you up in pain. Because if you explore all the limits available by pleasure, the only thing that you will be able to get a kick out of is pain. So you end up like the Romans. They had every pleasure they wanted. They had open beds, prostitutes, everything. So when they went on the weekends to the Colosseum, they needed something even better than that. So what they'll do is the emperor would get these slave girls in the middle of the Colosseum who would be covered with flowers and everything. And after a while, they would release lions to eat those girls. And they would get this kick out of it. Because they explored all the limitations of pleasure, the only thing that they would get excited by pain. Either the pain of others or their own pain. So pursuing pleasure will end you up in hell. So when you're experiencing pain, don't try to push it away. Don't try to get away from it. Trying to get away from your experience is like trying to bite your own teeth. Because how can you get away from your own experience? You can't. You are your experience. You are not different from your experience. And every experience that you're experiencing is in the present moment. All of them is here, right now. And if you try to escape your experience, thinking that wishing for a better experience in the future is like trying to shake off your shadow. For example, when you're really happy, you don't say to yourself that I am happy now. This is happiness. No, you are so absorbed by happiness, so completely present, fully conscious of the moment, that you don't compare it to other experiences. Because there is only this experience now. You can't compare it to other experiences. You can't compare it to memory of other experiences, but that is not an experience. That's just a memory. Memory is not comparable to the experience of sadness or happiness. So when you're happy, you're completely immersed in that present experience. But the problem is that when we're sad, we split ourselves. We split ourselves into the experiencer and the experience. And we think that we can get away from this. That we can shake it off. That we can shake off our shadow by shaking our hands. And we'll start comparing our experience of sadness with our experience or our memory of joy from the past. And this is where our suffering comes from. We gotta realize that you can't escape this present experience no matter what you do. Because there is only this experience now. So instead, live fully every moment. When you're bored, just feel every little aspect of that moment. Get totally into that boredom. The way through sad times is to face it. Face it and be aware of it. Be conscious and present of every moment. Take full, deep breaths.